All right, guys. I just wanted to make this real quick. I'm going to keep them under 15 minutes. I'm actually going to try and keep them short, down to like little 5-minute chunks. And I'm going to keep posting these as I work on them in the morning. Also break down a little bit of theory. I'm not going to get into like an advanced power user sort of type of detail. I will break those down, but what I'm trying to get here, and I need some feedback from you guys, is I want to make sure I'm structuring the data or the information you guys want to see properly. I think that's a big thing. So like we can have a simple path to gain just an understanding and work these little things into these concepts into actual like working pieces for you. And then, have it branch off into a deep dive, into something, a lighter version of something, so you can just get an understanding of it. And then in like moving forward type video where, we could explore ideas of where you could take these concepts next and then show a couple of examples there. But I want to sort of break it down. I'm like tactile as far as learning. I like to see. I'm very visual. So that's sort of how I want to break it down. I want to break it down almost in like a diagram like this. And then you can sort of just pick and choose where you want to go next in building this, building out an application for your business. Sound cool? All right. So what I was going to talk about briefly today is just table relations and how that works. In a nutshell, without getting very intricate, everybody's familiar with tables. So if you work with spreadsheets, things like that, comma separated values. Let's see, what's another one? Google Sheets, obviously Excel. There's Open Office. There's a couple of different ones, but a table, a simple table, like a customer table we have on the screen right here. And one of the examples here, I'll throw some example data up here, first name, company name, address, and you get the idea. So that's one table. It's for customers. And then we'll do another table, which is common in business structures, taking notes for customers. So here we have a notes table and then an activities table. What did we do when we last spoke with that person, or what action did we do for that person? So on here, I have just a basic breakdown of just a relational table structure, like how a table talks to another table, or how a row in one table, for this example, a customer table, knows that the note for that customer is for that customer. And you can see here, I'll show you how to read it real quick. Like this little one on this part of the line, it means the one relationship. And then this little multi-line right here, or many line, is many relationship. And what that means is there's one customer that can have many notes. So that's a one-to-many relationship. And then the same with activities. One customer can have many activities, or one customer has many notes, and each one of those notes has many activities, if that makes sense. And they're identified by an ID or a unique identifier. But what it really is this table is referencing, or this row for this customer is referencing the note, or the note is able to reference the customer by this identifier. So in this example, FK1 belongs to, this customer, FK1. And, anytime FK1 is referenced in this table of notes, it's really referencing customer, with the ID of FK1. And that's the key. And then the foreign key is this table, notes. But again, all that really means is it's helping the table relate to another table. So it reference another table. Another word for it is lookup. So yeah, our customer has many notes, and notes have many activities. And we're going to build it off of this. I think that's simple enough. And then we'll just go right into, we're going to do it off of Power Apps. And then I'm going to stop a little bit after this. I'm just going to break down. Okay, so now we have a basic understanding of, table relationships or data relationships. Now when we start off in Power Apps, it gives you a way to start. And one of them is start from data, or the other way is just can start designing your app first and then connect data. I usually like to start with data selection first. So we're getting close to a little after 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break it down real neat or real fast. The first example is Excel. We're all familiar with that. And the other one is Google Sheets. There are some pros and cons to it. Long story short is it's fast because you probably already have something in Excel or Sheets. So you could connect this, and then what you're actually doing is you're pointing your application to an Excel worksheet or a Google Sheet. Okay. But there's a limitation on how many rows of data you can actually do, and then reading and writing to that. There's some special things you have to do to actually be able to add stuff and delete stuff. It's a little different in Excel, and it's a little different in Google Sheets. Then a little better up is SharePoint. So you can write more stuff inside of there. You can actually do a lot more things inside of there. It's all housed in Microsoft's cloud, and it knows how to talk back to Power Apps or your application that you're developing in Power Apps and talk back to SharePoint. There are some limitations in that too, though. It's a little slow, not brutally slow. Like you shouldn't know the difference unless you have this really huge database. And then again, there's a limit to how many rows of data you can have. It's extremely large though. Like you probably have a hard time putting a dent in it, but I could be wrong. And the other thing is SharePoint connecting relational or referencing another relation to another table can be a little challenging at times. The next thing is SQL Server, that type of data connection. That's SQL Server is more for advanced users. You have to know SQL, and that's a really large database. It's one of the most popular and larger databases globally. But there's a lot of management, and then you have to know how that works. And then there's a blend of where you get both worlds, which is Microsoft's Dataverse. It's changed a couple different names, but I'm going to be going into Microsoft Dataverse because you won't have to go back after that. Long story short, it's going to store more than enough data you could throw at it. It's fast, it's snappy. Building relationships, once you understand how to do it, is actually really easy. And then a lot of the things or relationships you would try to create are already baked into it. So best way to describe Dataverse is it's thought of all your common data connections, like, oh, customers have addresses. Oh, and addresses have locations, and customers also have businesses, and businesses have locations. It's figured out all those little things, and client or customer A has a first name, a last name, an email 1, 2, 3, cell phone, office phone, home location, business location. It's figured all of those things out. It's also figured out things that you would normally do for things you would want to write inside of your application or a table you would want to create. Like, for instance, what's the activity I did for this customer? Did I send them an email? Did I shoot them a text message? Did I make a phone call? Blah, blah, blah. Did I take a note? Who spoke with them? Those relationships are already built in there. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to break down. I'm going to do a couple of examples of each one, minus SQL. First off, because I'm not that good at it. But also, second of all, I don't think that it's out of the scope for what it is we're trying to do here, right? Our goal is to get up and out. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break it down. But I just wanted to talk briefly about what actual a database relationship is, or a relational database is. And then the next thing is how you can connect to multiple data points and some of the pros and cons of starting with data, or what type of data you're going to start with. You can go into other data sources, so it's actually really flexible. So say you do have a data source, I can go and look at more connections. These are some of the connections I've created for examples, but you can go into connections, and then you can connect to multiple cloud environments. So you can use Amazon's cloud environment, AWS. You can use Microsoft's cloud environment. You can use Google's cloud environment. So for example, you got Amazon Redshift, if you know what that is. But then you have other sources, other third-party sources, Google Drive, Google Sheets, those things I was talking about. Dynamics, if you're a big Salesforce fan, you can do that there. Postgres, also one of the larger databases globally that's open source. You can actually tie into that as well. We might cover that because I don't know if you guys want. But there's lots of other databases or data sources you can go to. So I just wanted to cover this briefly. I hope I didn't talk your ear off. If you guys are interested, just keep checking in, subscribe, or hit a notification. And I'm going to try and keep these going just as I'm doing it. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm probably going to brick some of the terminology. But yeah, I'll keep it going, and you guys tell me what you think, man. I'm looking forward to your feedback. Okay.